Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honor Thy Podcast. This is the weekly DC TV Arrowverse podcast where we discuss everything Arrowverse. I'm your host, Dec and Dan. You may know me as the host of DC Central, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Dan McCants, otherwise known as Mulekick Media.
Hey, still no Supergirl. Man's happy.
Hey, this boy was 2 hours late, but hey. Yeah, I have to say, I'm enjoying the respite, but it all comes to an end tonight, I'm afraid.
I know.
Because once again, we're recording on a Sunday, but this time it was my fault.
Exactly.
But
We always share the blame.
To be fair, I had pre-arranged plans back in September, so I think it's fair.
Well, yeah, but whenever anything goes wrong on here, usually it's one person's blame, but we alternate between it. So,
yeah.
On one instance, it'll be his fault. The other instance, it'll be my fault, and then it's basically just swapping in between.
Pretty much.
It does tend to usually be me, but I just don't take responsibility.
We're an equal democracy here at Honor Thy Podcast. You know, we like to share things equally. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, with our policies aside, we have our discussion topics as usual. We have a new episode of The Flash. We have a new episode of Arrow. We also have the pilot of Doom Patrol, which I'm going to talk about. Dan has not seen it yet. I saw it this morning and was absolutely flabbergasted by the whole thing. And we also have, instead of the news this week, because there is no news, we have a little discussion topic that has been propping up around the Arrowverse over the past few weeks, which is Carlos Valdez, the actor who plays Cisco Ramon, is he going to be leaving The Flash at the end of Season 5? So let's dive into that. So the rumor has been, well, this has been around for a while now, about Cisco potentially leaving The Flash. I kind of started thinking about this around Comic-Con time this year, just because I remember at Comic-Con, Carlos Valdez just didn't seem into it at all. And I just thought, And with all these rumors, and given what they've done with him this season, I think this is possible.
I mean, anybody at this moment in time who doesn't think that he's leaving, shame on you. It's so obvious.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a massive shame because I honestly feel like out of all the characters who you could take out other than Barry, like, Cisco would leave the biggest impact.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
definitely.
Like, the show is not going to be the same without him. It just isn't. Like, there's nothing... He's such that... Like, everyone says this, but it is true. He's the heart and soul of the show. So if you take him out, there's just, like, a massive hole left. And, like, you know, it'd be like if you took, you know, our boy Diggle out of Arrow. Just, you know, eventually when he dies, you know, that year when I eventually get my prediction right, and he dies, it'll be a sad time. It'll be a sad time. And I feel like Cisco is the same thing. I think it would almost be the same if Caitlin left as well.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be as similar with Caitlin. Yeah.
I think it'd be similar. It's just that, like, Cisco's been there from day one. He was even in the Arrow, you know, episodes and stuff like that. So it's just strange that this is coming around. But, you know, why do you think he is leaving then? Do you think it's just, like, other commitments and stuff like that?
Well, I've heard a lot of people say that apparently he wants to go back to Broadway because, as far as I know, I think The Flash and, like, the entire Arrowverse is, like, I think was his first, like, job outside of theatre and Broadway. Like, he hasn't really done anything else, so maybe, because I've heard a lot of people say he wants to go back to that, which, you know, I could sort of understand, because it's pretty much the same reason why Victor Garber left Legends, because obviously he wanted to go back to Broadway as well, which is where he's from.
Yeah.
So if he feels like that's what he has to do, because he's been here now for, like, what, 5 years now? He's been here for quite a long time, so I guess he just wants to move on to something else, and you know, I don't think you can keep him there against his will necessarily, because the Arrowverse, they're usually quite kind, you know, with actors who want to leave most of the time. So, you know, I feel like if he wants to go, they should let him go. And it does feel like they're definitely writing him off. I mean, the fact he hasn't been as frequently appearing in episodes recently, and the fact that they've been kind of, you know, writing up a certain relationship for him and another character, which we'll probably get into when we talk about the Flash episode that we've had this week. But yeah, it'd be a massive shame to lose him, because for me, I think I've just always loved Cisco, and like you say, he is the heart and soul of this show. And apart from Barry, he's probably the one character, like, if you take out of Team Flash, there's such a big gap there, and I can't really see any other characters that we have, like, existing now taking over that, or even like a new character coming in to take over, because he's just that unique and quirky of a character. And yeah, it'll be a massive shame, because I love Cisco. He's probably one of my favourite characters in the entire Arrowverse.
Yeah, he's definitely up there, and like, he's just because he's been there from the beginning. he's always had a presence within the show. Like within the crossovers, he always has a big presence as well. So it's just he's always been one of the big players in the Arrowverse. So to see him go, it's just gonna be one of those things where it's just gonna be something so heavily missing. And yeah, it's just you just have to look at the storylines he's been getting this season, and what path that's taking him down, because obviously we have the whole thing with Camilla. He wants to have a wife, he wants to settle down and have kids and stuff like that. He won't be able to do that with the life he currently lives. Cicada taking away his powers, or at least to some extent, and he's enjoying not having his powers. I just feel like this is definitely an exit cue.
Yeah,
as Arnold Schwarzenegger and Batman and Robin would say. This is his exit cue, and I think we're just waiting to see the exact moment, be it the finale or slightly before the finale. Yeah, I'm sure that they will bring him back though.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they would kill him off, just because I think he's too big of a character to just go ahead and just be like, oh no, bye bye, like no chance of a return. I definitely think he's a character they'll write him off, as in he'll go elsewhere and he can come back if he wants to. But I'd be very surprised if they killed him off, because just because like with the Arrowverse in general, it's very much like when most people leave the shows, it's always either they go elsewhere and they can always come back, or their fate is sort of left unknown so that they have that chance to come back. It's very rare where if a character actually gets like full on killed off, and whenever it does, it's usually with a villain character. So it wouldn't make sense to kill him off. So I probably do see them just writing him off where he goes elsewhere.
I don't know what you're talking about. Cisco died this week.
Yeah, but it didn't happen though. It didn't happen.
What? No. We'll get to that dreadful piece of shit. But the thing is, like, there's also been a lot of rumors, because obviously, in terms of like a replacement for Cisco, people have been talking about the character of Ryan Choi, the third person to take up the mantle of the Atom, who was referenced in episode 1 of this season. He was the guy who created Barry's current suit. So, were they planning that? Has this been planned for a while? Like, was that like a name drop that they put in there specifically to say, oh yeah, this guy's coming because he's going to create this Flash suit?
Yeah, I mean, be clever if they did, but we all know that these Flash writers ain't clever. I mean, if you've been watching any of these recent episodes in the past few weeks, you wouldn't know these Flash writers ain't that clever.
No, there is no brain cells going on between these writers. I mean, I'd be interested if they brought in Ryan Choi, especially because like recently, after playing like Injustice 2, I like Ryan Choi.
Injustice fanboy.
Injustice is awesome though. You can't lie.
I mean, yeah, I ain't denying that. Just saying.
Hashtag Ragman for Injustice 2.
It's not coming. Why? The game is 2 years old.
Injustice 3 then. Do it. Bring it. Honestly, bring it. You could bring in Vibe in Injustice 3. You could bring in. Imagine Cicada voiced by Chris Klein with animated facial expressions.
All megas will die.
Imagine that. Like, imagine how good that game would be.
Yeah, can his permanent face just be all the episodes that he pulled in last week's Flash episode towards Iris, where he's just like looking like he's mega constipated? That's just his face the entire time.
I have to say, I'm pretty proud of the meme I made about him versus Roy Harper.
Oh, that was legendary.
I'm pretty proud of that, I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised nobody else came up with that. But this was, I think Cisco leaving... I think it's looking very likely at this point. It's gonna be a shame, but I guess all characters have to move on, I suppose. Isn't it weird that we're losing like all the tech characters? Like we lost Win, we lost Supergirl last season. We lose Curtis on Arrow this week, and now we're losing Cisco. This is just all the tech characters. They're gone. We're running out of techies. But yeah, I mean, do you think like? Do you think they'd ever bring like Cisco back in like the crossovers? Like, is that what you reckon they'd do? Or
yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, like you say, he's quite integral to a lot of the crossovers. So maybe they could bring him back for one of them, but I don't know.
Like,
I really don't know.
Would he be in Crisis? I mean, like, Crisis is a big.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he could maybe come back for that, because obviously, like you say, it's such a massive event that I'm sure maybe like actors who are maybe no longer in the Arrowverse, they may be a little bit enticed to be like, oh, maybe I want to, appear in this, because it's a fairly big crossover to try and adapt, especially for television. So I think, maybe that could entice him to come back for that, in like a guest role. But
could entice
I
Joe
don't know.
Nicole to come back.
It's not happening. Can you just drop this now? It's not happening.
Look, what I'm
Ragman
saying
is he's never coming back.
look, this is Beth's fault. She shouldn't have brought back Rory last week because now it's just bringing back all these memories, and now I need him on the show again. I miss him too much.
Everybody does. Everybody misses Ragman. Sykes, they don't.
Best. No, they do.
Why? This show is done fine without him.
Yeah, I'm not saying it hasn't, but everybody, we need our boy, our powerful boy Ragman back on the show. Anyway, this is about Cisco. Yeah, I think he's gone. I don't think we're gonna see him, except outside of guest appearances. Like, they're not gonna kill him, because if they kill him, then it would basically go against the entire reason he's leaving. How many kind of annoyed me about Martin Stein's death a little bit in Crisis on Earth X, because the whole reason he wanted to leave the show in the story was to be a grandson and be a family man, and then they just killed the guy. Like, that kind of annoyed me a little bit.
That's because they knew it would upset you, so that's why they did it. Just like with Quentin. Just like when they killed Quentin when they stopped his heart from beating. When his brain was desupplied of oxygen for 11 minutes. They knew that would upset you, so that's why they did it, fam. That's why they did it.
I really thought in Crisis they were going to kill Jax, and then they just didn't. I thought Jax was going to die, and then Martin will be like, oh, well, there's my get out of jail free card, and then he was going to go. So yeah, who knows? They could kill Cisco. Who knows? Cisco could die.
Well, yeah, but Cisco's died too many times on The Flash. I mean, he died in season 1. Depending on what you say with Flash time, could have died then. I mean, he's died multiple times probably in the latest episode of The Flash, so
Yeah. So I mean, it's a sad time just to look at a character like Cisco and see him go, but I guess every character has to leave at some point. I don't know. What about if Grant Gustin leaves next season? he's getting sick and tired of all this.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I got to dig out Kean Lonsdale from our numbers list.
Nah, he's not doing that. And they've got Jessica Parker Kennedy, man, spin-off show with.
Oh yeah, with the greatest character in the whole of the Flash this season. Yay!
There is actually a rumor going around they're looking at doing a spin-off show.
Oh, I saw that and it's just no, I don't need this. Look, if you'd asked me this after episode 1, I would have been like, oh yeah, definitely. But having seen the first 14 episodes of this season, just no, thank you.
Got
no
time for that. Anyway, let's speak about the Flash season 5, episode 14, otherwise entitled "Cause and Excess." This was an excess load of shite.
Oh, this was a as the Andes would say in Hot Fuzz, what absolute horseshit.
To quote Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, that is a big pile of shit. This is this is shit. I kind of thought maybe this episode would be better. I kind of thought after last week, which I didn't hate last week, but I thought, maybe we'll get something a bit interesting here. They're doing the time loop thing. It could be fun. It really wasn't, though, was it? I mean,
no, it's just more of Nora being an incompetent, stupid character as usual.
Idiot.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I can't root for a character who is written as such an imbecile, especially when, again, we've said this before, but this character is supposed to be like 30 years old, and she's always written as like a 10-year-old. And if she actually was that age, then I'd kind of maybe understand it a bit more. But she's like, I don't buy her naivety. It doesn't resonate, and it really annoys me the fact that Nora, who, like you say, in episode 1 and like the first few episodes of this season, probably like up until the mid-season, I really liked her. But now, like, she's just constantly screwing up all the time, making problems, and just killing the show. And it's really annoying. And the whole time loop thing, the Arrowverse has done this before. Even the Flash has done this before. They've done the time loop thing, and this is easily the worst one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, compare it to like Legends in season 3.
Yeah.
Like, that was a great episode. It was funny. It was written well, and it was actually done in a clever way. This was literally just, oh, everyone keeps dying, so I need to keep doing the same thing basically.
Yeah, I'm so shit at my job. I have to fail at it 53 more times.
Yeah, like that's like 52 times she goes back in time, and right. This is the big kind of controversy coming out of this episode. People are like, oh no, she wasn't going back in time. She was reversing time. Let me ask you this, Dan. What's the bloody difference?
Yeah, there is none. They're literally serving the same purpose.
Like I know there's some kind of weird technicality that people will say it's different. But at the end of the day, if you reverse time, you're still going back in time. You can still reverse time, change something, and
reversing time is still technically traveling back in time because you're still technically. Oh my god, it's so stupid, man. Can we also talk about the fact that Nora's got like she's got the fucking Ezra Miller syndrome of not being able to run properly. Her run is so strange. It's like watching a kid. Yeah. It's like watching a kid run on a treadmill for the first time in their life.
Yeah, like I don't understand why the Flash does this. Like, I mean, it's not as bad as Ezra Miller, but like...
Oh, Ezra Miller looked like he was ice skating.
That's not even running. I don't even know what that was. But like, you know, Barry's run is a bit weird, but it kind of works in a way. Or maybe I'm just used to it.
It's the best one. We'll put it in that way. Yeah. It's not...
But like, why can't they just run normally? I don't get this. Like, why do like filmmakers and people who work in TV have this perception that, oh, if you're a speedster, you have to run completely differently? Like, look at Quicksilver in the X-Men films, or even Quicksilver in Age of Ultron for the brief time we had him. You know, they ran normally. Why can't we do the same with the Flash? I don't understand this. It's weird. And plus, have you seen like interviews with Grant Gustin where he's talking about that? When he's filming those scenes when he's running, he literally stands in place and moves his arms. That's literally what it is.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's literally like he did it on Conan. Like he went on Conan and he did it live.
Oh my god!
It's just weird. Like, why can't we just run normally? Like, surely if you're a speedster, you should be the best runner out of everyone. Like, you shouldn't look like an absolute tard like they all do. I mean, again, it's not even close to what Ezra Miller performed. But it's still pretty bad, and I don't understand why this happens. Now, this whole reversing time and time travel thing, there are consequences to time travel, as we know. You know, doing this 52 times, it's quite damaging to the old timeline.
Yeah, but I mean, it's damaging enough the fact that she's even existing in this timeline at this point. But we won't dwell into that. That's enough of a plot hole in of itself.
No, Dan, let's dive into it because I want to talk about it. The contradictory in this episode.
Oh yeah,
out the wazoo. So we have Barry. Barry's like MIA in this episode. He's just gone, right?
Because Grant Gustin was.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. But anyway, he's off in the Speed Force to complete the cure because apparently that's going to fix it for some reason. So he's gone. And
you are so mad. I've never seen you this mad with an episode of The Flash.
I know. I don't like to rant. I don't like to be overly negative on things. But this episode bloody deserves it. So like, right. So Barry is gone for 60 minutes. Nora manages to do all of this in 60 minutes. That's impressive, right? You know, I'll give her that. That was impressive. You know, like damn girl. You know, you did a lot there. But in 60 minutes she does all of this. So Barry comes out of the Speed Force and he has the conversation with her and he basically recites the speech that Jay Garrick gave him in season 3. Granted, this would have been a good moment if it wasn't for the fact that Nora is currently time traveling. And Barry sat there, he does the whole mug thing. I don't know about you, Dan, but I think Nora's the only mug around here.
Oh, shots fired! Pew pew.
He has the mug, and he says, as soon as you break it, no matter how hard you try to put it back together, it's never going to be the same. Great moment in season 3. This would have been a great moment here, but not only is Barry contradicting himself, because not 3 months ago was he time traveling to try and stop Cicada. If we all remember that old chestnut. The 100th episode that we all loved, right? There's that. On top of that, Nora is sat right next to him, currently time traveling. I have no words.
But you don't understand. It has no effect on the timeline.
Is it? Who says that?
In that first episode, when they try and justify why Nora should stay, when Wally turns around and says, well, actually, the legend said that there are these things where when they go back in time, they don't affect the timeline. It's like, Nope. Surely a daughter interacting with a father that she never had a relationship with would affect the fucking timeline.
Sure, if she came back and was trapped in one of the Star Lab cells yeah, sure, I'm pretty sure that the timeline would be okay. But she's not. She's out there running around, causing problems, talking to people, getting involved in people's lives. No matter how you twist it, she is affecting the timeline. So the fact that Barry sat there saying, oh, there's consequences to time travel, no shit, Barry. Tell your daughter to piss off. Back to the Future. I'm sorry. I don't like to swear this much. I'm not, but this episode, man. Do you know what makes this worse as well? We were talking about how The Flash needs a new showrunner. The showrunner wrote this episode.
I know, that's the funniest part. Like, the main showrunner, he can't hide anywhere now. No hiding for him. No. He's fully responsible.
He needs to go. Like,
it's time to go.
I used to like Todd Helbing, but like, I mean, if this is what he puts out, Jesus Christ. Like, this was shocking. Like, honestly, I think this is one of the worst episodes The Flash has ever done.
Yeah.
I think this was, and I said that about episode 11 as well. I think this is worse. Like, and that we haven't even spoken about Cisco's date.
Oh, that was just cringe, because it's like he tries so hard to act like unlike himself, which I can sort of understand, but it just got to the point where it just wasn't funny to me anymore. It just got boring.
The only thing I liked about that was how he kept vibing the different timelines.
Yeah,
that was quite
cool.
Interesting. But like, other than that, it was just like, oh, now I'm doing this impersonation. Now I'm being myself from Flashpoint, if you remember that. Click. And then it's just like, yeah, Camilla's there. Camilla's just so not into it. She seemed really different in this episode as well.
Yeah.
Like, when we first met her, she seemed like quite fun and light. In this, she just seems sad. And maybe she just realised, oh, I'm in this really bad episode.
Maybe I'm just in this really bad show now.
Why did I take this role? But, yeah, the whole it's all irrelevant, the Cisco stuff.
Yeah. Then, can we talk about the fact as well that Cicada just manages to escape once again? Oh yeah, let's get on to it then.
Oh, so anyway, Nora goes and tries to do this thing 52 times. Everyone keeps dying. Even Cecile keeps dying for some reason. I don't know why. Why is Cecile even in this episode? Like, Danielle Nicolette,
to explain where Joe is. To explain when Joe is gone.
But like, even in this episode, she literally comes in to get killed. She's not in any other scenes. She's in like 2 scenes where she gets killed.
Imagine when she gets called up by a showrunner. It's like, hey Danielle, you gotta be in this episode. Oh, what am I doing? Oh no, you just don't scream for like 2 seconds to get killed. That's your purpose in this episode.
You don't even get any lines. You're just gonna die. So yeah, after Nora basically just keeps going back and forth and all that, Team Flash, a team of scientists, journalists, and detectives, come up with this idea, right, to try and finally stop Cicada. I don't know what this plan was. It's a bunch of nonsense. And it's not even like typical Flash nonsense where they just throw a bunch of words at you that you don't understand.
Yeah.
To try and cover the fact of what they're doing. And it sounds kind of cool. This just made no sense. And their result for this time was to just put a bunch of flashy stuff on the screen to go, ooh, look at the sparkly lights, right? to mask the stupidity of
the fact it didn't make sense.
Like, do you know what they were doing? It was just like Nora was just jumping all over the place, and there was just breaches everywhere. Ralph was just stood there for no reason. I was like, what is going on? And then they eventually do knock out Cicada, and then he flies away again.
What is this flying power that he has? It makes no sense.
I'm so done with this.
Yeah, like, imagine this now. If the show, if this season continues as it is, we will have gone 3 seasons, like 3 years, without a season of The Flash that you can qualify as like good or great. Now, the only time I can remember this happening with a show was with The Walking Dead, 6 to 8 straight, and I was on the verge of season 8 of giving up on the show. I feel like now I'm getting to the point where, honestly, if this wasn't part of the Arrowverse, I would be doing the same thing with The Flash. I would be contemplating giving up, because like, it's just showing the fact that this show, they have no idea what they're doing. Great start to this season, fantastic. The first 3 episodes, really, really cool, interesting. But it's almost like they had no idea after then how to extend all these plot lines they set up for 22 episodes. They don't know how to do it. Like, Cicada, how he gets away from every single bloody scenario to take him down. It's pathetic. It's become a meme at this point. You just sit around the entire episode going, like, just waiting for like the plan against Cicada to ultimately not work or work, but he goes away. He manages to jump away with his stupid acrobatic CGI jump for no reason. Man's looking like he's Superman trying to launch for the stars. We don't even know what this power is.
They've just
never
explained it.
They didn't.
We were talking about this in episode 3. Right? We were talking about this 11 episodes ago. Talking about the death of Vibe. Wait, how did he just fly? Okay, I'm sure they'll explain it. No, they haven't. Like he can just fly. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm over it. Right? I don't need your explanations because it's probably going to be terrible anyway because you can't write. So at the end of the day, Cicada just escapes, so he's never going to get caught. So and the thing is, now at this point, the amount of times he's escaped, when he actually does get captured, I'm not going to buy it.
Nope.
Like he should just be able to. If he can fly, he should be able to escape. And I'm not being funny, Team Flash, but if you're having this big of an issue with capturing this guy, just call Kara or call Clark or even Oliver. I reckon could take this guy. I honestly believe Oliver could take this guy.
Oh yeah, Oliver would destroy him within about 5 seconds. But then knowing the Flash writers, it'd magically have like Cicada be like the ultimate pro master of martial arts, like even better than Ra's al Ghul.
They should genuinely get Oliver in the season finale to fight this guy. Because, do you remember back in the Flash season 1 they did that?
Oh, yeah.
They had Oliver fight Reverse Flash, and he won.
Yeah, that was the most badass scene out of all of like the Arrowverse shows that season. That was better than all of Arrow season 3. Was watching Oliver just fight the Reverse Flash and own him.
Yeah, like that was an amazing episode. We had the Flash ring with Eobard Thawne, and then we had him teaming up with Firestorm, and Oliver was there in his League of Assassins get up.
This is just this is the show out. That's the show I want, but that's not the Flash anymore. The Flash now is just stupid bullshit written into episodes. You don't get cool moments anymore.
I'm so frustrated with this show. I'm so frustrated with it at this point. I don't know if you saw my review for this episode that I put.
I watched it and it was very inciting.
Yeah, like I said before, I don't like to rant about these shows. I don't like to be overly critical, overly negative. But I honestly, because I want to like this season, I want to love this show as I once did, but it just keeps doing this. It keeps sitting at this quality, and I don't want to settle for it. Because I know it's better than this, and it keeps doing the same thing again and again and again and again. And I don't know how the season's gonna end. I don't know how it's gonna wrap up. Obviously, I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm gonna watch season 6, but I really hope they pick this up. We all thought this was gonna be like the resurgence of the Flash, like Arrow season 5 was, but honestly, if this keeps going, this might be the worst season.
Yeah,
genuinely, it might even be worse than season 4. And that's quite a statement.
That is saying something.
Yeah, and we haven't even got Aminat Black yet in this season.
No, but if she shows up, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. I think the thing is, after seeing what Arrow's done in season 7 with the new showrunner, I think it's blindingly obvious, like we've stated many times, they need a new showrunner for season 6. They desperately need it. Like Todd Helbing used to be, decent at storylines, but the thing is that with this season, he has had to take the responsibility of sole showrunner, so there's nowhere he can run now. There's no one you can pass the blame on to. Like how in season 4, Andrew Kreisberg was, the showrunner for the first half of the season, and obviously he got fired, and then, you had Todd Helbing take over the rest of it. So you could always deflect the blame and be like, oh no, it was Kreisberg's idea. It was Kreisberg's idea. But it's so blatantly obvious now that Todd Helbing has just got no idea what he's doing. This just feels like Guggenheim and Miracle for like Arrow season 6, where it's just like they have no idea what to do for this season. Like almost their ideas have just like completely run dry. And they need a new showrunner desperately. Just hire anyone. Hire anybody who's already in the writing staff or somebody new. Just get someone different, because the show needs something fresh. It needs something different, because at the moment it's not working. It's just not working at all for them, and I just don't see how Todd Helbing to suddenly pull something out the hat that's going to make the show great again. The only way I can see it happening is with a new person at the creative helm.
Yeah. Just get Tommy Wiseau to do it.
Yeah, he'd probably do a far better job.
It wouldn't be boring.
No, it'd be exciting to watch every single week.
It actually would. I'd be so excited. And you know, next week they're like, "Oh, it's the big King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd episode." I don't care.
I don't care. It's just going to be 2 slaps of CGI just hitting each other.
And on a
basically,
TV budget, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it'll be like a crappy TV budget version of the finale of Venom. That's basically all it's going to be.
Yeah. Or it's going to be like a really bad version of Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Oh, God.
Like, you know, to be honest, the only thing I'm looking forward to next week is that Joe's back.
Yeah, that's what.
He's not even back to the last minute of the episode. I bet he comes back at the very end.
Yeah.
You know, Jesse needs to go back to this show because it's dying without him. ever since he left, this show has died. He was the last thing holding this thing together, and now you know maybe he'll come back.
Maybe that's the secret ingredient.
Yeah,
maybe that's the.
Maybe that's it. We need Joe to come back and just fix everything because Joe is the GOAT. But Joe is probably going to die this season because of those guns we saw last week.
Oh no!
Sorry, Joe's dead. But there has actually been a rumor about that as well. There's been a rumor about like a second cast member leaving the show.
Mm.
And Jesse L. Martin would kind of make sense. But then, as we said before, if Joe left, you'd probably have to get Cecile to leave as well.
So that's like 3.
Yeah.
That we're leaving. So, well,
you know what that means? Season 6, we're going to get loads of new characters, boy. Maybe that's a good thing, though. You know, maybe we need some, like, you know, fresh showrunner, get some fresh characters in. I'd be down for that, I think. Oh, can we just get this show please be better? It's such a shame as well. Like, we were like raving about episode 1. Like, we were raving about that episode
because it was great. Like, it was a genuinely great episode, and then just slowly turned to shit. We're only halfway through the season.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Let's move on to the much better episode of the week. Arrow Season 7, Episode 13, The Star City Slayer. Our boy Brendan Fletcher, Uwe Boll,
is back
himself. Oh, I have to say though, I loved this episode so much.
I really like this episode as well. I did have some problems with it, but we will get onto them later because I feel like your boy Declan is going to disagree with me on some of them.
Well, I do have some issues as well, but for the most part, I thought this was a great episode. I thought it was just like awesome. So I'll let you lead first. Normally I take the lead, but I'm feeling generous today.
Oh,
you can jump ahead.
I'm
springing this on you.
You spring this on me.
You sound very startled.
Yeah, I just hear your voice and then it slowly cuts out and then just like all of a sudden jumps back in. That's why I'm startled. It's not because you're asking me a question. It's just my shitty internet.
Did you hear the question?
Oh yeah, I heard it.
Yeah,
I heard it. Yeah. I really like this episode just because as soon as I heard the title, instantly I was interested because you know, obviously you know that Stanley's coming back. I mean, I remember one person I saw on Twitter. They were like, "Who's the Star City Slayer?" I just facepalm like, "How have you?" Just Google it, bro. You clearly haven't been watching this show. But nah, the Stanley stuff was really cool, really really well done, very creepy, very very like tense, especially the scene where you've got Diggle, Renee, Curtis, and Dinah, going around his house, I assume. Like, it seemed more something off you see off Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. But yeah, but no, that was like really suspenseful, going around there looking at all that creepy stuff, and then it's just Dinah finds all the stuff that he's been researching about the Arrow and the Green Arrow, and then just turns around, slices her neck open. We got the scene we've been waiting for. Yeah, it was spoiled in the trailer. I have to say, I was surprised that they spoiled that in the trailer. Like, really surprised by that. I would have thought they'd kept that for the episode.
But I wasn't really too bothered because I was kind of just like, we all knew it was going to happen. So, and I could just tell it was going to be in this episode because it made the most sense. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. But I think, Dinah losing her cry, that is finally the cat's out the bag there. This is like, a really interesting development for Dinah, but it's just something that we knew was going to happen. I don't know what they're doing with Dinah this season, though. I really don't know what they're doing with her.
That's the thing. Out of all the female characters, they've done such a good job with them for the most part. I mean, Felicity has been far better this season. Black Siren's been probably the MVP for me. Yeah, amazing. And then it's just, you look at Dinah, and she's kind of just been given the short end of the stick. And I don't know whether this is, down to, Beth Schwartz. She's writing all these other characters, and all of a sudden Dinah's just at the bottom of this list pile. I don't know whether that is. I don't know whether they're going to do something with her maybe in the future storyline. Doesn't really seem like it. But yeah, it's just at the moment, I just don't. There's nothing like story-wise going for her that I find intriguing.
Yeah,
maybe her losing her.
Like, I thought maybe she was gonna, because I thought they were basically writing her as Quentin's character now.
Yeah.
And being that kind of archetype, but then she was like talking about how she wanted to be a vigilante again, and everybody got deputized in 150, and I thought, okay, they're kind of reforming Team Arrow, so I'm guessing Dinah will be a part of that. And then like in the future, she is. But then it seems like they're not going to be doing that, and then in the future, she's wearing her Black Canary costume, and she's like the leader of the Canaries, as Renee called them. So I don't know where her story's going, because something like what she's doing now doesn't line up with the future really.
Yeah.
And this is sometimes why the future storyline, as great and as awesome as it is, can sometimes be a bit of a problem story wise.
Yeah, that did bother me. It's just. I hope they do something interesting with Dinah sooner rather than later, because we are still obviously now starting to build towards the end of the season, right now. But it's just with Dinah, I just don't see something very interesting happening with her character. I mean, like I say, maybe with her losing a canary cry and seeing how she reacts to that, maybe that could be interesting. But I don't know. It's just like I said, there's just nothing that they've built up with her story wise that I just find very interesting.
No, she's just like. And it's a shame because I like Dinah. Like, I really like Dinah as a character. I really like Juliana Carvey. Like,
just because you met her.
She is awesome though. She is a really awesome person in real life. But like, especially in season 5, I loved her. Like when she was first brought in, I was like, this character's awesome. Season 6, they kind of destroyed her character, to be honest. And then in 7, they kind of just not left her as was. They have kind of fixed it. Like her relationship with Oliver is good again.
Yeah.
But it's still, yeah, they just haven't done anything particularly interesting with her. This could be it now, though. This could be it where, now that she's actually had something happen to her, we can have some development, but who knows. Now, obviously, with Stanley returning in this episode, we have to talk about Brendan Fletcher and his performance.
He was great.
So good. Like,
I want to know how...
So scary. Not
how
scary,
did this man...
creepy.
Yeah, how did this man land up in Uwe Boll films? He's far better than that. I'm sorry. His performance in this episode, it was amazing. Like, in a way, obviously, we always take the piss out of, Brendan Fletcher, the fact he was in Uwe Boll films. But to be honest with this episode, I didn't see Brendan Fletcher. I just saw a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
It was that good. He was amazing. And I'd be really upset if this is the last time we see his character, because, he was so good. And I just... Yeah. That whole sequence where it's with him, Oliver, Felicity, and William, where he's gassed them all. That was, I was on the I was actually really, really tense, and his performance was just, I was just so on edge with it. It was fantastic, so well done. I'd say that's probably one of the best performances we've had this season, easily.
Yeah,
it was.
It's so memorable as well.
Yeah.
It just when I think back on this episode, the thing that sticks out the most is that scene with him, because it's just. When you look at his entire kind of performance this season, for the most part of the show, he was kind of this weird kind of little guy in prison who, seemed innocent enough. Obviously, most people had their suspicions, whereas I was completely on board with him. I was like, no, this guy's chill, this guy's sound. But I didn't really know the comics at that point. But then, in episode 7, you do kind of see a little hint of mentality in there. You see a little bit of how ill he kind of is. But then in this episode, he goes full out. The way he's just screaming at Oliver, his eyes. It's like what Cicada tries to be. Cicada wants to be intimidating when he does all these expressions, but he actually was. He was actually scary. Just his reaction to everything, the way all he wanted was just for Oliver to listen to him. And I love the fact that Oliver's just taking no shit from him at all. Even though he couldn't move, he was just sat there come on, Stanley, you want to talk? What do you want to talk about? He's like, I am listening, Stanley. It was really good stuff, and I just love the fact, because we full on get his backstory in this episode as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's a bit exposition heavy, but given the fact that obviously the three characters are just kind of like they can't move, I think it was fine. Because he literally just comes out and, he literally just sort of comes out and he's like, oh, my parents, they used to, his dad was a doctor and he used to put this same medicine on him so he couldn't move, and then his brother tried to take the beatings for him, but that never worked. So then he killed his parents. So it was like and then he got his brother. He was like, oh, look what I did, and then his brother hated him for it. So then he killed his brother. Like, mental.
Yeah, this man's insane.
Like,
Insane, man.
I'm so glad that they brought him back because, like, they left that so open at the end of episode 7 when he escaped out Slabside. I was like, oh, I can't wait for him to. I've been waiting for this episode where he returns. This was a brilliant return.
Brilliant was awesome. Also, they name dropped Arkham Asylum as well. Because you're keeping up.
The Arrowverse shows can't go a single episode without name dropping a Batman reference. Yeah. It makes me laugh. Like, I remember watching. I was like, can we not just? I mean, I know that you're all really excited about the fact that you can sort of name drop Batman stuff now, but do we have to do it all the time? Like, it feels really forced now. It's like every thing we see, like in the 150, that guy's suit was Wayne Tech. It's like everything has to be Wayne Tech now. But yeah, also like, his house was really creepy, like you mentioned. Like, I really like the scene with like Curtis and Renee. The way Curtis like snuck up on Renee and stuff like that was good. Like, got a brilliant Renee Hoss reaction there.
Oh yeah.
And like I said this before, but like I haven't been like properly creeped out by an Arrow villain this much since I want to say season 2 with the Dollmaker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you found the Dollmaker sort of particularly creepy, but I really freaked me out.
Yeah, but then again, you're an absolute wuss anyway, so it makes sense.
I just found him such a creepy guy because, like, the way he had Laurel there with, like, and he'd pour like the plasticine into someone's mouth and it would like make them a model. Oh, that was weird. But like I haven't been creeped out by an Arrow villain since season 2. So well done, Arrow. You did it. You did done good. Now we did also get some family drama in this episode.
Yay!
However, I think in this episode it was done quite well. We have
but William sucks ass, the actor.
You know what? Look.
Oh no! Don't say this. Do not turn around after all your negativity towards Jack Moore and be like, "Oh, he wasn't that bad."
Right. I mean, you know me, and listeners of the show, they know me. I have been very critical about Jack Moore. I've said
because he's shit.
He is. I still stand by that statement. However, I think this is the best he's ever been, and I'll tell you why. Because normally, the reason why I don't like William is he has no range. He's just monotone, he speaks in the same voice, and he never changes pitch. In this, we actually get to see him, and this isn't angst either, like it was last episode. There was a bit of angst, I'm not going to say it was devoid of angst, because it wasn't. There was a hint of angst, a little sprinkle of angst in there, but there was actual anger in here. Like, the scene between him and Oliver arguing, I thought was very good. Granted, it wasn't great acting on his part. Stephen Amell obviously knocks out the park, as he always does. But I felt the scene works so much better than any other scene Oliver and William have ever had together, because I actually felt some reaction. I actually felt some emotion out of William, which I never have before.
Yeah, my only emotion was laughing at how shit Jack Moore was. That was it. That was my only emotion.
Look, the way I look at it is, if I can give Jack Moore a slight positive, it must have been a fucking blinding performance. But it doesn't matter now because Jack Moore's gone. He's left. He's left the show now. And given, if the flash forwards are anything to go by, we should never see him again. So,
fingers crossed. We can only hope.
We can only hope that we never see him again. But he called his grandparents basically to come pick him up because he just didn't want to live with Oliver and Felicity anymore. And Oliver and Felicity were like, "Oh no, he's my son. You're never gonna take him away." And I was like, "No, please take him away." And eventually he did, so that's good. He's gone. Also, amazing little comic book reference. We did get Oliver's famous chili in this episode. That was nice. The famous chili that Green Arrow makes in the comics is even too spicy for Batman.
No, it isn't. No. But Batman eats it, but he cries.
Yeah, but he cries. Yeah. So that's really, really fun. That was a nice little reference. So while we did get William leaving the show, we also got Curtis leaving the show, as mentioned earlier. This this took me by surprise, actually.
Yeah.
Even though there was rumors that he was going to leave, and there's been like speculation, I didn't think it was going to be this episode. And also, I was confused because I thought in episode 11, after there was that fake out, I was like, And now I'm thinking maybe they should have just killed him.
Yeah, maybe.
They should have killed him in season 5, but
Oh yeah, man should have died on Liam. We've all been saying this. Everyone has said this. He should have died then because they've literally done nothing with him story-wise since.
Yeah, like he should have. He's such an expendable character.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
I think it's time we do like a little farewell for Curtis here. I really like Echo Kellum. I really do. I think he's fantastic. He's very passionate. He's very charismatic. He's a fun actor. But the problem is the writers have just never known what to do with Curtis.
And he just became a male Felicity. That's really all he was.
Because the way I've always said it is that, he's pointless in the field because his fighting ability is nowhere near as good as Oliver or Diggle or Renee.
Even though he's meant to be a gymnast, apparently.
Yeah, we only really ever saw that ability like in season 6 in like one moment. So he's never really been up to scratch with the other members of the team. And then back at base, he's kind of irrelevant as well because Felicity's there. Now, granted, sometimes he does invent some cool tech. He is kind of the cool tech guy. Which is why I liked him. Like, to be honest, Curtis has been the best he's ever been this season because he's been in Argus. I've liked him in Argus. Granted, he hasn't had much to do, but I think episode 11 was like one of his best episodes ever. Like creating that virtual reality thing, I thought that was really good. But it's sad to see Curtis go, but I'm gonna miss him, and I'm sure. But he didn't die or anything, so we're gonna see him come back. I'm sure at some point we're gonna see him return and things like that. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of characters on Arrow. The team is kind of big enough as it is. I think this was a smart decision. And also it was Echo's decision as well. Yeah,
because he wanted to leave for his family. So, yeah, I'm happy that obviously, that he hasn't been killed off, so there is the chance that he can come back. Because I think he has said in interviews that he'd love to come back for Crisis. So, there's a chance we might see him then during the crossover. So, I mean, I've always liked Echo Kellum. Like you say, very, very, charismatic. Gives 100% for his role, but it was just that his character, they just didn't really know what to do with him. He was kind of introduced during a very rough time, in season 4, and then they just haven't really known what to do with him other than making him the male version of Felicity, basically. So it's a shame it didn't work out in that regard, but in terms of him, really, really, really good in the role, and yeah, he will be missed. But he as a character, he was always very expendable to me.
What's going to happen to Nick and Anastas?
What?
See, even you've forgotten. I think the writers...
Oh, the love interest that they've never ever
forgotten about this character.
Oh, definitely.
Because the thing is, he's been in this season, and he's been the most prevalent he's ever been in this season. But like, there's been no interactions really between him and Curtis. Like, there was one moment, I think it was in this episode. Yeah, I think it was in this episode, and they look at each other and smile at each other. But that's literally it. So if Curtis was going to go off to DC, which obviously he is doing anyway, what's going to happen to Nick Anastas? Like, is he still going to be a part of the SCPD, or are they moving away together? Like, yeah, I think the writers have kind of forgotten about him, to be honest.
Oh,
there's been like nothing. That'd be strange.
It's
yeah,
very strange. Very. I don't know. It's just you feel like sometimes with Arrow they kind of just pull a Flash and they just completely forget about shit that they really should be paying attention to that they write, and this is definitely one of them. Like, all you needed was like a little scene and that was it.
I mean, given the fact that it was Echo Kellum's decision, I guess maybe they didn't plan for it, and they just kind of probably forgot. But I think a scene, just one scene would have been nice just to explain. If they're going to move away together, because if we see like Nick and Anastas next week, I'm gonna be even more annoyed. If he's gone, then I guess we could just assume. But yeah, now while Curtis has left a hole in the team, I think that hole's gonna be filled come episode 15, don't you?
Oh yes, our boy indeed.
Our boy Roy Harper. I mean, we've been waiting for him to return in the present day storyline, and I believe episode 15. Is going to be it, because Colton Haynes posted a picture of himself in the Arsenal costume without any of the old makeup on, around the time of them filming episode 15. So now that we have a hole in the team, this could be where Curtis comes out. Not Curtis, Roy. This is where Roy comes back onto the team and back into Star City. His name's been cleared. We know
he has to appear, before the flash forwards.
Point,
yeah,
because him and Dinah need to meet at some point. So I really think this is going to be it now, and I really hope it is. Because I'll tell you what, as much as I praise season 7, and I believe that this could be the best season of Arrow, I will be severely disappointed if Roy doesn't show up in the main story at some point. I'm gonna be so disappointed if he doesn't show up. As much as I love him in the flash forwards, and he returns in the flash forwards in this episode, he's been gone for a while. He does return in the flash forwards. I really need to see him in the present day. I really do. And if he doesn't, that'll be my biggest complaint about the season. Especially because that's the thing I was most looking forward to about season 7 as well, is the fact that Roy was coming back. But yeah, let's talk about the flash forwards then. That's the last thing we have to talk about. So Roy is back. Also, William's back in this episode as well. Older William, thank God. So Roy was just badass in this episode, as he always is. He was an amazing cicada face, which again I compared on Twitter.
Is it embarrassing that Colton Haynes was able to perform a better cicada face with all that makeup on than Chris Klein with no makeup on?
And basically they realise, okay, we need to find a place where Felicity might have stored all these bombs. So they go to the Arrow bunker, and when they're there, they get ambushed by Mia and Connor Hawke. Now I have to say, the fight scene in this episode was
very
incredible.
Good. Oh yeah.
I love this. This is one of my favorite fights they've done this season. I think it's so good. Connor runs out and he basically just lets Dinah and Roy go. And Dinah comes out, starts fighting me. Roy does that amazing jump and just flies off the top of the thing and starts tackling John Diggle Jr.
I mean, Roy has to do a flip in every episode. That's basically that's how it's got to be, bro.
That hit me in the feels right there when Roy did that backflip. That's the Roy I know. That's the Roy Harper I know. Those little backflips. That is literally signature Arsenal right there. That got me very excited. I had a little squeal moment there when I saw that. And I have to say, the music in this scene.
Oh my god, this man's gonna bang on about it again. Yeah. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that good.
How can you say that?
That Black Star theme was not that good. It was just a rip off of the Dragon theme. That's all it was.
No.
What was that girl scream, boy?
No,
my god.
That girl scream comes when I hear an unjustified opinion. That's
when you hear the truth. It's not that banging.
Right, we heard it in episode 8 for the first time, and I thought that was amazing. But it was kind of quiet. In this, we get it full on, and it works so well. I love this theme. If it is Black Star's theme, which I think it is, it's wonderful. I think it's brilliant. I think it works so well, and just matching it with this fight scene was incredible.
Diaz, the Dragon theme. It's just a rip off of the Dragon theme.
It's not the Dragon theme, but that is
all it is.
Right? The Dragon theme is God tier. We can all agree. But I think this is the Dragon of this season.
It was alright. It was alright, but I could have easily made it in Audacity.
Well, I just think it's amazing, and I think it works so well for this fight scene. I don't care what you say. But this is where we get the big bombshell, Dan. This is where we get the big moment that nobody saw coming. Mia is Felicity's daughter.
I hate this.
I'm okay with it.
No, I don't like it.
But this also proves, I'm about to prove myself as an incredibly incompetent Arrow viewer, because the first time I saw this episode, I didn't know Felicity was pregnant. I completely missed it.
Exactly. So this man's an idiot. Anything he's just said doesn't mean anything. Man's an idiot.
That scene when Felicity gets a call from Dr. Schwartz, I thought that was something to do with Dinah. I didn't hear her say, "I'm what?" I didn't hear her say that.
Yeah, she says, "I'm what?" which indicates she's pregnant, which is why it flashes forward to the...
Yeah. So anyway, her name is Mia Smoke, and she's Felicity's daughter. And
they're gonna butcher the character of Mia Dearden. I can already just tell it right now.
This confuses me though. I always thought Thea was supposed to be Arrow's version of Mia, because her name's Thea Dearden Queen, and she becomes Speedy. I always thought that's what they were doing. I always thought that Thea was always meant to be Arrow's version of that, but apparently it's not.
Well, Yeah, but it's just that with the vibe that they try to give off with her, she's very much, kind of like second version of, the Mia Dearden character from the comics. But it just feels like now they're just trying to twist the character just so they can appease like a section of the fan base. And for me, that just sits wrong with me. And I can just tell that's what they're going to do. I mean, you don't slap the name Mia on there without, obviously giving reference to that. So it just feels like that's what they're doing. Also, I don't think it works because the thing I liked about the flash forwards, at first, was that you kind of have either the legacy of a character who's currently in the current day storyline or the actual characters themselves popping up in the future. I mean, with William, it's kind of like the legacy of Oliver and Felicity. You have Dinah there. You have Zoe, who's kind of like the legacy of Renee. I liked that angle to it. So for me personally, I would have liked it if Mia was the daughter of another character. For me, I would have preferred it if it was Laurel's daughter, because that would have been really interesting. But because I just feel like with trying to introduce like Mia as a Smoke, it's just, again, it's just trying to appease to a fan base that's already a toxic enough as it is. I didn't really need them adding this, and all it's going to do is just add more drama, which is I'm not looking forward to it. Again, I could be proven wrong with this, and I do want to be. It's just based off initial impressions, it just feels like this could be the first big misstep that Best Schwartz has made so far.
This could be the first misstep in Best Schwartz's writing career for Arrow season 7.
Oh no!
That was episode 9 of season 6.
Exactly.
But she did give us that amazing Renee dancing scene, which I can't deny was God tier.
Fuck that. Also, I want to say as well, look, I loved the fight scene in the flash forwards this episode, but I have to say I didn't think they were actually, like, the flash forwards this episode, I don't think they were that great, to be honest. Literally, the majority of the scenes are literally just cut to flash forward, piece of exposition, tease something, flash to current day storyline. That's basically all it was. There was that one scene where Dinah and Roy were like tied up together. The entire scene is literally just for Dinah to turn around and say, "You're Connor Hawke," and then flashes away. It felt pointless, and anybody with a brain cell who has watched Legends of Tomorrow Season 1 already knew this. So that scene was almost pointless for half the people who watched this. And it's just that's what the flash forwards felt like to me this episode. And that's when I don't like the flash forwards, when they just feel like the writer's trying to tease something but giving no actual substance to the actual scenes themselves. Because they just feel like throwaways. And that's what they felt like this episode for the most part, apart from the fight scene and the revelation you get with Mia, which obviously I didn't like.
I disagree.
Oh my god.
I haven't found the flash forwards this interesting since before the mid-season. I mean, I've always liked the flash forwards, but like ever since the mid-season, like ever since they come back, like I mean, I liked episode 10 because obviously we got Old Man Hoss, which was great. That was like, most memorable part of the season. But like, in all the other episodes, I found them they've kind of been slowing down recently. But with this, and maybe it's just because Roy was in it, I don't know.
Exactly, that's why it was in it, so you're blinded by your fanboy justice.
I was genuinely thrilled by all this, and I loved it. Like I say, I love that fight scene, and just like, the reveal did kind of get me. Because like I say, I didn't clock the scene before. And also,
exactly, that's why.
And also, this theory has obviously been around a while. And I'd kind of disregarded it from my mind. I kind of like debunked it in my head. And I thought to myself, well, that's not going to happen. So when it kind of was revealed in this episode, it actually surprised me. I was like, oh, so they are actually doing that. Okay. Because I always thought, the reason why I kind of debunked it was because I always thought that the age difference between William and Mia was too close, so it wouldn't work. But I guess there's like a 10-year, 15-year age difference between them, so I guess Mia's in like her early 20s, and William's in like his early to mid 30s. So I guess it does line up, but yeah, like the reveal honestly got me. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to play a parallel between Oliver and Emiko with William and Mia. I think that's what they're doing.
Yay. Nah, you're gonna change my mind on that. It's not happening, bro. I just don't know. It just like I say, it just feels like them trying really hard to appease to the Olicity fans. Like that's what it feels like to me. I mean, the only bit that interests me about it is the fact that she addresses herself as Mia Smoke and not Mia Queen.
I have a theory about that.
Yeah, because the only way that could happen, and it's the most logical way, is that Felicity like takes the kid away. Like when the baby's born, she sends it off somewhere so Oliver never sees her, and then she grows up in this place that resents vigilantes because with what they've just done with William, it would make absolutely no sense for Oliver to father Mia.
Yeah, exactly.
It would make no sense.
Exactly. And like I thought to myself that, you know, I think Felicity is going to keep this baby a secret.
Yeah.
But then it depends how they're going to do that, because obviously you can't hide the fact you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Like eventually Felicity's going to be getting a little bit chubby, and you know, Oliver's going to have a few questions about that. But yeah, I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is, because obviously Felicity's going down this dark path. Emily Bett-Ricard's leaving the show, confirmed. No, they would never do that.
I wish.
Like I have to feel like there must be. That's my big question now. Is Oliver going to find out? And I mean, who knows? She could literally turn around and say to Oliver immediately in the next scene, "I'm pregnant," right? But it doesn't quite line up for me. And I feel like, knowing Felicity, you know, knowing her, she's gonna say something. But then I was looking at the promo photos for next week's episode, and everything seems right as rain. I don't know what they're gonna do with this. Because the thing is, now, if Felicity's pregnant now, then this means the baby's going to be born at the beginning of season 8. Maybe even Crisis, depending on when they place the crossover. So, I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with this. Like, I feel like Felicity could keep it a secret, maybe, or Oliver does know about it, and then they just do send the baby off immediately. But then, I think clearly she grew up with Felicity. And if Felicity kind of goes her own way, she could take Mia with her, and that's why she's Mia Smoke. And she doesn't like vigilantes, which is why she didn't take her father's name. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they get around it. I'm just... But from a story perspective, it won't make any sense.
Yeah.
In how it links up with like the current day storyline. Well, the flash forwards, I should say, but... I don't know. That's their task to do, not ours. So we'll just have to see how it unfolds.
Well, I have to say, though, for the flash forwards, like I say, they haven't really been getting me recently, but this episode has intrigued me again. So I'm excited to see where they go. Obviously, we're going to be getting a lot more information on Mia. Like, Catherine McNamara, who plays her, has been in an interview with TV Line, and she said that it was this episode 14, 15, and then 16, which is the all flash forward episode, are like all filled with bombshells about and like reveals about her character. So hopefully over the next few weeks we will see what actually happened, and you know, why she has made certain decisions and things like that. So I'm definitely interested now. They've got me back into it. I know you're a lot more negative on it, but you know, although I will say I think maybe you seem more positive on the Flash than I was this week, which is very interesting. Not positive per se, but you know, given how ranty I was.
No. I secretly just didn't like the episode. I just feel no need to rant because after the amazing rant review I did in Arrow Season 6, Episode 9, that kind of exerted all that rage about with all the shows that I'd built up since Arrow Season 4. I kind of just vented the last bit of it out then. So I've just got nothing left in me.
You've come to peace with the fact that
I've just come to peace with the fact that sometimes these shows, they can just produce whack episodes, you know?
Do you know what's sad about all this, though? Arrow is the only good Arrowverse show at the moment.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can agree with that.
As much as I want to love Legends,
it's not been...
As great as the mid-season finale was, it's not been good. Flash has been dreadful. Supergirl's been bad. Arrow's the only good one. That's a real shame.
And the sad part is now, because I think we feel the need to address this, Arrow and the Flash are now on break for...
2 weeks.
How is it 2 weeks? Because they don't come back now until early March, which is it's going to make this extremely painful because obviously, you know, there's a new episode of Supergirl that comes out tonight, meaning that's going to be the only show we review for the next episode.
Yeah. Well, I might chuck something else in because
and then obviously the week after.
Yeah.
And then obviously, the only complication we do have then is that the week after there's no shows on. So I don't know what's happening then. Are we doing an episode then? Or are we just not going to bother?
When's this? When's this?
This Supergirl episode.
Yeah.
the week after, there are no episodes of the Arrowverse on.
What, so Supergirl's going on break again?
Because it's award season.
Ah.
You know, the Oscars that week.
Well,
so there's
might
no
take
shows
that
on.
off, we'll see. Because, you know, I mean, we've said this before, I'm just being completely blunt with you guys, but, like, you know, this is a very niche podcast, so if there's nothing to talk about, I'm not going to force episodes like we did in the summer, when we were just desperately coming up with ideas, because that was some dire content right there.
Oh, that was depressing.
So, like, I'm not going to force content if I don't have to. So you know, we very may well take that week off.
Yeah.
But in regards to reviewing other shows, the DC Universe streaming service is still kicking around. Obviously, we did review Titans, which we were both mostly positive on.
No, you were more positive than me.
I was really
you were though.
Going to answer back to me then.
You were because you turned around in your Doom Patrol review and was like, "I had a fun time with Titans. Oh, Titans was so fun, wasn't it? Did you have fun having that seizure in the finale of Batman?" You did. You turned around and said,
I said, although I had some issues with the characters and tones, I thought.
No. You said Titans was fun.
I can play this clip right down the microphone right now.
You said Titans was fun. I swear to God.
Yeah,
I swear.
If you listen to literally what I just said 2 minutes ago, arsehole, I literally said,
"Oh, this man."
I said I had problems with the characters and the tone, but overall I had a good fun time with it. I didn't say,
no.
It's like this amazingly fun show and all this.
No, the fact you said it was fun in itself,
I agree with that.
Immediately flawed. No. This show is not fun. It's just an edgy teenager who's filled with depression and anxiety turned around and was like, "I want to make Titans. I want to make it edgy." And this is the end product. It's just
fun though.
Doom Patrol. Well, I can't comment because I've not seen the episode yet.
Casual. Well.
No. I had it downloaded on my laptop and then the file corrupted, so I can't watch it.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna take this solo review here and review Doom Patrol because I watched the first episode today. I watched the pilot, and unlike with Titans, where I did wait until the official UK Netflix release, I actually am going to watch this week for week because I've been excited about Doom Patrol. Out of all the DC Universe sort of slate of shows they announced, this was the one I was most excited about. And my favourite episode of Titans was episode 4, Doom Patrol. This is a bloody solid pilot. This is a brilliant pilot. It's like the Arrow pilot, where you just watch it and you instantly get invested in the characters and the story. It reminds me of the Arrow pilot. It's so solid. No, you will agree with me when you watch this. This is absolutely and in comparison to all the other DC TV shows we're going, like I said, Arrow is the only good DC TV show at the moment until now. This is amazing in comparison. Right? So all the characters in the show, they do such a great job with establishing all of them, getting you to a good grips with all. Some of them do get better served than others. But like Brendan Fraser as Robot Man is a fantastic character. Granted, we do to his arse, not necessarily a thing we needed, you know. But I'll look past it. But his character overall, so interesting, very sympathetic, somebody who you actually do feel sorry for, despite the fact he's kind of a jack. He's just a really entertaining, interesting, sad character whose backstory is really tragic. And also really graphic as well. His design, obviously, you would have seen him in Titans. His design is crazy. It's the way he moves, you know, because it literally is a brain in a robot suit. And it's crazy to look at that. I love his backstory, like seeing the racing scenes with him as a race car driver, stuff like that. He was just like a really interesting character for me, and definitely the standout. There was also Negative Man, played by Matt Bomer. Matt Bomer is a great actor. I'm still not 100% sure on what his powers are, but that's more to me being uneducated to the comics than anything else. I think it's some kind of entity that kind of like inhabits his body, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But he was like a NASA test pilot who was flying this super futuristic space jet, which then after meeting something in outer space, it comes tumbling down, crashes, and he survives. And what I liked about Negative Man, which I didn't expect, given based on the Titans episode, he's actually the most sort of secluded and the most reclusive of the members. Like he there's this scene in the episode where, obviously I'm not going to spoil it because you haven't seen it, but you know, it's they kind of go out into town, into public for the first time in a very long time, and he's the only one who doesn't really want to. Like, he knows it's a bad idea, and he knows he doesn't want to, which surprised me. And yeah, his backstory was also really cool, and there's some really awesome scenes with him in the past. We also have a Rita, who is Elastigirl, or Elasti-Woman in the case of the show. Really liked her. I didn't love her in Titans, but I really liked her here. She's this actress from the 50s who gets involved in an accident, and she can basically distort her body, and just it gets turned into like this massive sluggish slob that can just move around. Really creepy looking stuff. But she was really good as well. I think she did a great job. And then we also have Crazy Jane, who is basically a female version of Kevin Wendelcrum. And each personality she has a different superpower tied with it. I love the actress who plays her. I think she's wonderful. Really does a good job with all the different personalities, everything she has to deal with. And she's the one I'm most excited about, because I'm really excited to see what they do with her and all the different personalities we see. This has got 15 episodes this season, so I'm excited to see all the different personalities, all the different powers, how they're going to feed in, and how she's going to interact with different people based on that. The actress is really fit. So Crazy Jane, I'm excited about. I'm very, very excited about. I think she's going to be really awesome in this season. And then we also have the Chief as well, played by legendary Timothy Dalton. Recast from Titans. But a recast for the better, if you ask me. I mean, Timothy Dalton can do no wrong. The guy was James Bond, for God's sake.
The most underrated James Bond. Facts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. He deserved way more films. But I loved him as the Chief. He was really good. You know, you're kind of not sure if you can trust him. And based on Titans, I'm going to say no, we can't. But I'm definitely excited about him, because he just has this, and the connection he has to the villain, clearly played by Alan Tudyk, Mr. Nobody, could be something that's going to come into play quite heavily come the season finale. So unless they completely cop out and basically don't do a season finale like Titans. But this was great, and also it's really well shot as well. Like, immediately, the opening few shots, I was really impressed by the cinematography. Like, it's really well shot. But my favourite thing about it is just, it's such a weird show. It's so weird in all the right ways. Like, tonally,
basically, like Legends.
It's weirder than the Legends.
Oh, damn.
Not weirder in the sense that it's more off the wall, necessarily. Because Legends is just ridiculous. In terms of, like, you know, there's no talking Beebos, right? Which, granted, I would not have said no to a talking Beebo. But it's just, because it has, like, a weird mesh of tones. And it's stuff that shouldn't work, but it just does. Like, because, like I say, you get a lot of flashbacks in this first episode with all the different characters, and you get to see how tragic some of their backstories are, and it's really sad stuff. But then in the present day, you get this incredible dialogue, and it's really funny. It's a really funny show. Like, the wittiness between the characters, the way they interact with each other, the way they just insult each other because they're all freaks, and the way they all just completely rip each other apart. Like Crazy Jane, some of the lines she gets are hilarious. Like, the way she completely bullies Robot Man. She completely just takes the piss out of Elasti-Woman's accent all the time, because she's got this really posh kind of British accent, and she just completely, literally, she tries to say, like, Elasti-Woman's like, you know, oh, Jane, you should calm down, and she says, and then she just goes, oh, why did you piss off and die? And then, like, Alan Tudyk narrates the entire episode, which I don't think they're going to stick with that for the entire season. I imagine it was just for this first episode. But he's talking about Elasti-Woman, and he's like, and we see this scene where Elasti-Woman and Robot Man are just sat next to each other, and he says, you know, oh, the mansion was the only place that Elasti-Woman felt safe and unjudged, so here she was sitting next to a brain. Like, it's such a flat line, but it works really well, because she literally is just sat next to a brain in a robot suit. It's just so weird. It's such a weird show, but I love all of the weirdness. Like, it works so well. I thought there was going to be a tease for Cyborg in this episode, but Cyborg's not in it at all. He comes in episode 2. But I'm very excited to see Cyborg. I find it weird that Cyborg's in this show and not Titans, but whatever. Because Hoyven Wade, who plays him, I've said this before. The Purge movies, guilty pleasures are mine, and he was great in the first Purge, so I'm excited for him in this. I'm excited to see
Which Purge movie? Which Purge movie again?
This is that's just a marketing nightmare. The first Purge being the one that came out last year. But I loved him in that movie, so I've been excited to see what he does next. And the fact he was cast as Cyborg, I was like, hell yes. So I'm excited to see what they do with him. And I also hope we get some Crazy Jane backstory, because like I say, we get flashbacks for Robot Man, Negative Man, and Elastigirl. We don't get any for Crazy Jane. She comes in like the last 20-25 minutes of the episode. And the episode's like an hour long. But we don't actually get any like actual flashbacks or backstory with her, so I want to see that. And also, hopefully we'll get that with Cyborg as well. Even though pretty much all the viewers watching the show who are DC fans, obviously we know Cyborg's backstory, but it'll be cool to actually see it. And to see like a TV live-action version of Cyborg that's not Smallville will be nice.
What do you mean not Smallville?
Come on, the Smallville Cyborg didn't exactly look great, did it?
Hey, this was back in the 2000s, man. Plus, the actor's dead now, so pay respects, bro.
I didn't know that. Rest in peace. I didn't know that. But I'm just saying, the costume wasn't great. But overall, have I convinced you to watch this?
Well, I was already going to watch it anyway. Like I say, I already downloaded the episode. It was just that I wanted for it, so I need to go ahead and probably I'll just end up watching it online because it's easier. But I was always going to watch it because Doom Patrol, like you say, the episode they had in Titans was my favourite one.
Yeah. I loved it. So, like, when I saw that episode in Titans, I was like, okay, I'm down for the show.
Yeah, so I'm already excited for it, but then obviously, especially now that I haven't watched it straight away and I've had a chance to look at people's reactions. Obviously, it seems to be very, very positive. Like, a lot of people are saying that it's already better than Titans, which leaves me with a lot of good faith in what the show can do, because everyone knows I'm quite critical of Titans. It was good in parts, but it just took itself way too seriously at times. So I'm happy with it. Doom Patrol needs to be a show that's a bit more wacky, a bit more out there, but that's right up my valley because it's what made them work so well in episode 4 of Titans. So to see them again in their own show is going to be really cool. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Definitely want to watch episode 1 as soon as I can, especially like you say, if it's as good as you say it is.
Yeah, honestly, like I walked away from this episode and I just thought, I'm so down for this show. Like, I'm so down with these characters. Just everything about it, I was like, yes, I'm so down for this. Because, Titans, like, I watched episode 1 of Titans, I was like, yeah, it was fine. And it took me a while to, even though I binged that show pretty easily, it took me a while to kind of get a good feel for it. This, you instantly get thrown in the deep end with it, in regards to its characters and its tone. And you get a very good idea very quickly of what kind of show this is. And if you're not into it within the first sort of 10-15 minutes, I don't think you're going to be on board with the show at all. That if you're not on board with its tone and stuff like that, because even like Alan Tudyk, he kind of breaks the fourth wall at times when he's narrating, because like he says, there are a couple of lines where he's like, oh, this is just another superhero show, blah blah blah, but these are super zeros. This is a different story, and he says, oh, who cares? The critics are going to effing hate this anyway. Like, yeah, that's like genuinely a line. So he kind of breaks the fourth wall. So that's what I mean. Like, if you watch the first sort of 15-20 minutes and you're not on board with the tone and the humor and stuff like that, I don't think you're going to like the show. And I'm just saying this generally as like a public service announcement. But if you are on board with it, I think you're going to love it. And I genuinely think you will love it. Because it's just something so... It feels different and it feels fresh and something that, the people behind it definitely really want to do. And yeah, it left a hell of a first impression. And it's much better than Titans as well. So
that is very, very promising.
So yeah, I just wanted to throw in Doom Patrol in this, just because, like I say, I really wanted to talk about it. And out of all the DC TV shows at the moment, I think it's just the most exciting one. I was just like, this is amazing. So yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So anyway, that does bring this episode of On a Die podcast to a close. We want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. Again, we apologise for it being late. Who knows what we're gonna do over there? I might keep this Sunday recording for the next couple of weeks, because we can maybe review Doom Patrol.
Interesting.
Seeing as the other shows are going to be gone, so I might keep this for a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. Especially because if you start watching Doom Patrol, I assume I think you'll want to talk about it, because it's got a lot. There's a lot to chew on with Doom Patrol. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and share this podcast around with any of the DC TV fans who you think may enjoy this content. And as always, guys, I've been Dec.
I've been Dan.
And we hope to see you guys again next week.